Msugu had a sweet tooth, but nothing sweet to satisfy it until he happened to pass the hospital window. He saw a tin with sugar written on it. Hastily he looked this way and that and saw nobody. He told himself, nobody's looking. No one will know. Sugar. Beautiful sugar. Wow. Dowdy, who made medicines at the hospital, watched him but said nothing, for he well knew the ways of teeth and sugar. In the shade of a booyoo tree, he had a sweet and sticky half-hour, until a vague throbbing started in his hollow tooth, a throbbing that grew and grew and grew. So bad did it become that Msugu groaned and rubbed his jaw with care, and his aching tooth with booyoo bark. But the pain grew worse and worse and worse. He found Dowdy in the dispensary and said, "Great One, I have an enemy in my jaw. Hey, and there is no joy in my face." "Kumbe," said Dowdy. "Sugar toothache, eh? I have a medicine that will cure it. And while it works, listen to the story of the hunter's son, the snake, and the egg." Now, Perembi the hunter lived in East Africa, not far from the equator. His son, Bili, was a skillful hunter of the smaller creatures of the jungle. His work was to look after his father's cattle and sheep and goats. His special pet was Cuckoo the hen, who laid eggs with enthusiasm and who always sang to prove it. Near their grass-roofed, mud-walled hut was a great booyoo tree with lurking danger in its roots. For there Nzoka the snake lived with his wife and snakelets. But Nzoka was always hungry, and his appetite always unsatisfied. Hissily he complained to his wife,
"There never is enough food to quieten my inside. Never! Yo!
Her tongue shot in and out like lightning.
Well, why don't you get your own food?"
Nzoka's eyes became red with anger.
"I will get my own food in my own way. My stomach drives me to it." "You be careful. You'll get into trouble. You'll get into trouble. Your wisdom ceases where your stomach begins."
He came into the sunshine at the very moment that Cuckoo had laid an egg in the hunter's house. Nzoka heard the song. His stomach walls stuck together, and hungry snake thoughts wriggled through his head. He slithered in the direction of the cackling.
That sounds soothing to a semi-starved snake's stomach.
The heat of the sun and the strength of the wind had made a gap in the mud of the wall of the hut. Nzoka saw there was just room for his body to squeeze between the sticks. Through he went. There was the egg, deliciously warm, just right to bring joy to the interior of any reptile. Nzoka opened his mouth and the egg was very comfortably just south of his neck. Silently he moved to the hole in the wall. His head went through and most of his neck, but he stopped by the bulge, which was the egg. He cracked the shell against the side of the hole and... Lovely. His inside was flooded with satisfaction. He squeezed the rest of his body through the hole. The egg was deliciously distributed by the movement. He wriggled contentedly home. And Zoka coiled up to sleep the sleep of the fool, but was soon wakened by his wife.
Now what have you been doing? Now where have you been? What trouble have you made for yourself today?
And Zoka hissed sleepily.
Silence, she-serpent. I know my way about. My stomach now sings as it never sang when you cooked for it.
She spat poisoned spittle.
You be careful. You'll soon be in trouble. You'll end in strife. Oh, your way of wisdom. Pah!
And Zoka snoozed off to sleep. His wife was full of words, but he was full of egg. Next day, again he heard the song of cuckoo. Again he found the hole in the wall. Again he crawled through and swallowed the egg. As he wriggled home, his stomach squelched happily. But again he heard his wife's venomous voice.
Be careful, Snake. You're going to get caught. You're going to get caught. You're sure to be in strife. Now don't deceive yourself. Keep going as you are and you'll be caught. You'll be caught!
And the third day he did exactly the same, looking here and there with even less care.
This is safe.
He prepared again to swallow. But even as he said it, on the other side of the hut, Beely said to his father, "Daily I hear the song of cuckoo, but she sings without result. I'll watch with care and see why." The next day he heard cuckoo sing. The boy hid behind the grain bin and watched with eager eyes. And Zoka also heard cuckoo's song. Convinced he was safe, he slid through the hole, not bothering to look around. With a gulp he swallowed the egg, cracked the shell, and slid outside. And Mbili had a sudden idea. Out in the sunlight were Nzoka's wife and her snakelets. She hissed,
Here comes your rascally father, who follows the way of small wisdom and smaller safety. But he'll be caught. He'll be found out.
Nzoka ignored her, for he knew there was no danger. Early next morning, Beely put an egg in a clay pot. Soon after, Cuckoo came and sat on her nest. The heat of the fire boiled the water. The boiling water hardened the inside of the egg. Cuckoo started to sing, and Zoka heard and smiled snakily. Beely, who was waiting for this moment, quickly changed the eggs. He knew that while they looked alike, inside they were very different. And Zoka hurried to the hole in the wall and pushed through hungrily. He had eyes only for eggs.
All this talk of danger.
He hissed to himself scornfully. His stomach called for that egg. His mouth opened wide and he swallowed it.
Your whole cuckoo has fever. Oh, this egg's hot.
His head went through the hole in the wall as usual, but his neck stuck. He banged the hard-boiled egg against the sticks.
Oh, this shell has strength today.
He banged harder and harder, but the egg anchored him. In a frenzy, he lashed with his tail and squirmed with his head, hissing hideously, but the egg held him fast. The African boy laughed. "Medicine a little hard to swallow, hey? How do you like it, egg thief?" He moved forward nimbly and at sunset, the wife of Nzoka said to her little wrigglers,
"Oh, he said it was safe because he'd done it again and again."
Dotty spoke quietly. There is no profit in following the stupidity of snakes. And although we think our sins go unnoticed, the Bible makes it very plain. Be sure your sin will find you out. Next day, as Msugu brought a gift, he smiled and said, "Every time I look at an iguana, I will remember what happened to Nzoka the snake. And through my mind will go the words, be sure your sin will find you out."